Hey, what's going on, you guys? And welcome back to another episode of iTrek. Big shout out to everybody that's been sending me vids on Instagram, man. We don't want any conspiracies flying under the radar. And if this is your first time here, what we like to do is take a look at the most interesting and creepy videos from all around the internet and kind of evaluate for ourselves whether these are fact or fake. Before we do any of that, do me the biggest favor and hit that like button for me, hit that hype button, and subscribe to one of the most active communities on YouTube, man, and that's a fact. All right, let's go ahead and get right into it.
Well, the world is one step closer to creating designer babies with a world-first experiment altering the genes of embryos. Scientists at Columbia University have used a method called base editing, which chemically alters one letter in the DNA sequence. They were able to successfully edit 2 genes in a human embryo, removing mutations that, if developed, would have put a human at risk of heart disease. While previously clinics have offered to screen for certain genetic traits, this marks the first known instance of using base editing to alter an embryo once it's been created. These embryos have not been implanted to lead to a pregnancy, but researchers say it is now possible to produce a child from genetically altered embryos. It's a controversial proposal and it's had ethicists worried for years. On one hand, it may allow mutations that could cause disease to be removed from embryos, reducing the risk of future illnesses. But on the other, it opens the door to eugenics by offering potential parents the ability to select traits such as hair or eye colour, even intelligence and athletic ability. These edits are not always perfect, and even when they do work, they may lead to unforeseen medical complications further down the line.
Yo, what is that? Why is it just there?
Notice, the climate change hoax vanished the moment companies need data centers.
Marco Rubio confirmed yesterday that there is a foreign operation that's been dumbing down our young population and engineering propaganda to divide us and also regulate and slow down our innovations.
Now, if that wasn't a sign to slow down on whole milk and ground beef, I don't know what is.
What is that doing in your house? I'm gonna watch it again. Holy moly, get that out of your house. I don't know if it's paranormal, but it could become paranormal.
Well, I'm not suggesting I know anything. I made the movie, but I made the movie based on what I could simply gather by all the documentaries that have been made on the subject of UFOs, now called UAPs, on people who are reporting this from the intelligence community in Washington, D.C. There's been whistleblowers, Air Force pilots. There's been so much disclosure just in the last 6 years. So this is the time, I think, when we're going to find out something. I just feel that the coincidence is we made the movie and suddenly the government has started to release not very clear images, but some images are being released.
Stop the cap. We all know there are no coincidences. You just so happen to be making this movie at the same exact time as there's supposed to be disclosure? I don't think so.
What they just discovered will completely change the way you see yourself. Great. Imagine this. You walk into a room and you forget why you were there. You've probably done that before. You just assume that the memory's gone. But what if it isn't? Now, researchers at the University of Nottingham have made a discovery that's actually quite unsettling, to be honest. In a memory experiment, people were shown information and later tested on it. The strange part, well, some participants actually failed the test because they said they couldn't remember the information. But when scientists looked at their brain activity, they found something shocking. The brain was actually reactivating the correct memory. The information was still there, the brain had found it, but somehow it never reached the conscious awareness stage that your actual physical being would recognize. In other words, the memory existed in the mind, but you couldn't access it. Now think about that for a second, because that is insane. How many memories, thoughts, names, faces, or even experiences you might have had before, but you can't remember them, but they're in your brain somewhere. What else could your mind know that you or me don't? But if a part of your brain can retrieve information without your conscious self knowing about it, then what exactly is consciousness? Are you really the entire brain, or just the part that's aware of actually what's happening? Now, scientists say that these findings could help us better understand memory, consciousness, and even disorders that affect awareness. But the bigger question that most people are freaking out about, really, if your brain knows things that your conscious mind doesn't, then who is actually in control?
When the fine for doing something illegal is small enough, billionaires will just do it anyways, and Jeff Bezos is a perfect example. Because this is Jeff Bezos' $168 million mansion, and do you notice anything weird about it? Well, it's not the fact that this door is actually pretty epic, it's just how tall his hedges are, and in Beverly Hills, where this house is actually located, this is actually completely illegal. But what is wrong with having your hedges so high, and why is this actually illegal in Beverly Hills? Well, the problem is that when your hedges are this high, it can block the visibility and sunlight to other houses nearby, so they limit it at 3.5 feet per property. But these hedges are obviously way taller than 3.5 feet, so how does he get away with it? Well, don't worry, he doesn't get away with it. It's illegal and he has to pay a fine for keeping this up this tall. How much is the fine, you ask? Oh, it's $1,000 a month, which is nothing to Jeff Bezos. So rather than actually stopping what he's doing, he just continuously pays the fine every single month and can keep his hedges as high as he wants. Compare this to Finland, where fines are actually based on your income, and one guy had to pay a $130,000 ticket for speeding. But in the US, when the fine is small enough, it's basically just a price. And follow for more stories about money like this, or you might never see me again.
Top 5 things I'm scared of as a psychic medium. What? I wouldn't buy secondhand furniture, especially if it's from an estate sale where someone had just passed away. You don't know if they've crossed over, if they're attached to any type of furniture they have, and bringing it into your space, it can just cause a lot of problems. I always recommend, if you're like a thrifter or you have a good picker for beautiful antique items or anything, always cleanse it before you bring it anywhere into your house. Top items you want to be aware of are mirrors, paintings, and dolls. Sleep paralysis. I don't understand it, but personally, anytime that it has happened to me in my life, I have been in a very negative cycle and darker energies have attached to me. So if someone is consistently having sleep paralysis, my radar goes off a little bit. While we're on the topic of sleep, the witching hour. If you wake up at 3 a.m. on the dot, something is trying to get your attention. And maybe, yes, you have to just use the restroom, but if you can't go to sleep, a lot of times it's spirit's way of warning you of something. The Appalachian Mountains. I do not know enough about this topic, but every time I hear about it, it's like, nope, that is a huge no for me. It terrifies me. I want to know more of the lore, so if you're from this area, like, please feel free to share in the comments. Cold spots. So if you are walking somewhere new, like in someone's house or maybe a hallway in a hospital or wherever, and you get an instant sense of cold, the temperature drops 10 degrees, it's almost like a bubble of cold, that almost always means there's a poltergeist. Paranormal activity. It's a fancy word of saying a ghost that is either unhappy, wants to get your attention, or is a noisy, active ghost. If the cold spot is also paired with the feeling of being watched, glitchy electronics, or lights flickering on and off, you in danger, girl. Someone that sees dead people, I know this is very niche, but please let me know your horror movies in the comments below.
Have you ever seen a mutant flower? Do you want to see one? Check this out! Isn't that so cool? You can see, like, we had one over here that kind of started too, but it didn't quite go all the way. That's so neat.
There's no way that they made a law for this. I didn't believe it at all But apparently, it's illegal in this state to hunt Bigfoot. Yes, there's a law in Skamania County, Washington State, that makes it illegal to harm a Sasquatch. Further says that people believe it was an April Fool's joke in 1969, but it wasn't. Authorities doubled down in Skamania County 3 separate times in the same month. They revised it in 1984, and check this out. Sasquatch was locally declared to be an endangered species. Endangered species. Now, why would Washington State make this law? Not only that, why would they say Sasquatch is an endangered species? I mean, think about it. If this thing doesn't exist, why is there a law for it? And why are they saying this creature is an endangered species? Let me know in the comments.
There it is. Dragonback Camelback Mountain. Can you see it? Right there's the head. There's a leg there, another leg. I mean, it's right there. I know it's hard to believe, but they didn't celebrate dragons for no reason. There it is.
So today I learned that gray hair apparently happens because your body's trying not to create cancer. So it basically chooses between losing cells and dying, or becoming a tumor, turning into cancer. Gray hairs. So that's cool. Love that. Love that. I guess this is better than cancer. So if you have a head full of gray hair, good for you. Good for you, I guess.
Artificial intelligence company Anthropic is calling for a global slowdown on AI development, saying that systems are now advancing so fast they may soon be able to improve themselves without any input from humans. Anthropic co-founder Jack Clark says it is important that people keep control over AI systems as they get more powerful and have a broader impact on society. He says in order for a slowdown to work, though, AI companies in multiple countries would all have to agree to pause at the same time.
I'm pretty sure they're already able to write code for themselves. And they even have a language that humans can't readily identify. So by the time some of these big tech companies realize how far behind they are, it'll be way too late.
South Korea is literally so lucky because do you remember their team that was finally able to leave their country so they could compete in a match against South Korea? Well, thank God they won because Kim Jong-un himself went to go visit them so he could tell them congratulations. I mean, considering their lives were allegedly on the line, that's probably why they played so well. And it's pretty obvious considering how grateful they look to see him. I mean, even everyone in the comments is saying those aren't just happy tears, those are tears of survival.
The Trump administration is quietly dropping the number of religions it recognizes as legitimate religions, and it's doing so quietly overnight, so you don't know. Well, a lot of the religions that it now recognizes are primarily of Christian denomination. According to military.com, in the United States Pentagon, Pete Hegseth ordered the reduction of the number of recognized religions from 180. The United States military will now only recognize 31 religions, 2/3 of which are of Christian denomination. Religious freedom organizations are sounding the alarm, saying that they are taking our government closer to a government of Christian nationalism. When 21 out of the 31 recognized religions in the United States military are of Christian denomination, dropping down from over 180 recognized religions to just 31. As always, spread the word. Full updates on my Substack, linked in bio. Subscribe for free. Follow along for all the news you need to know about.
How did everybody miss this? Another NBA Finals, a bunch of coincidences. Is this a ritual? Let's see. So first, of course, we have the New York Knicks with Jalen Brunson, and that's his father, Rick Brunson, who actually played in the NBA Finals just like his son against the Spurs 27 years ago. And yes, he played for the same team, wearing the number 9 for New York. But hold on, you mean to tell me he wore the number 9 and his son is wearing number 11, 9-11 in New York? Now, Jalen's dad, Rick, played in the 99 finals against the Spurs with Tim Duncan and David Robertson, who are known as the Twin Towers. What? Gets even weirder though, because we have Wemby, who is playing in the NBA Finals, and he wears the number 1. So you mean to tell me where the Twin Towers stood, we have one lone tower, just like Wemby? And it's also kind of weird that Wemby, his nickname is the Alien, and we have all this UFO disclosure now with the new UFO files and talking about aliens all over the news. And I will keep my eye on this because this has been happening across all the boroughs in New York where these guys have been getting caught climbing down manholes. Now, on one hand, it could be a nothing burger, just a bunch of guys climbing down manholes doing YouTube videos, but we can't forget they love their predictive programming. On the other hand, it is a big event, so you have to stay a little cautious, and they might hit you with a reverse Uno, not hitting in New York, but it could be San Antonio. My guess is I don't think anything is gonna happen, but let me know what you guys think about all this down below.
Now, there's been a lot of talk about those guys jumping out of the sewer system in New York. Literally one of the biggest conspiracies I've heard thus far. Let's just say there's a few different underground cities going on over there, but we'll get into it.
This boy filmed his encounter with his deceased grandma. Yeah, that lady is a ghost. In 2018, in the Philippines, Olympia Ocampo sadly passed away. A year later, on Mother's Day, she made a creepy appearance in this video. The young boy took his mom's phone and decided to play around with it while she was making dinner. It wasn't until the boy went to bed that the mom decided to look through her camera roll. Among all the selfies that he took, she found this video. When he was recording the video, she saw no woman with him. She knew right away that that was her mom, his grandma. Might seem really creepy at first, but I kind of think it's kind of beautiful how on Mother's Day she made an appearance. But yeah, this video was taken a year after she had passed away. You can kind of tell she looks a little ghostly with like her sunken in features and eyes. Not to mention, she claims that she's a poor woman from the Philippines, she doesn't have a good phone, and she has no means of doing CGI. News broke, and it actually aired on a popular television show in the Philippines. But what do you think? Do you think this is really a ghost caught on camera?
Fun fact of the day. The pause icon is a representation of a caesura, a symbol in music notation used to indicate a break in play.
Congress is saying right now that the UFO files that the government already dropped were watered down, and they're going to the Capitol steps on June the 9th to demand the real ones. So the guy leading this entire thing right now is the intelligence officer who testified to Congress under oath that we recovered things that were not made by humans. He is going to be showing up on June the 9th with 4 different members from Congress, and they're saying that what Trump released last month was scrubbed before the public even got to see it. Over 1 billion people looked at those files whenever they dropped, but Congress is claiming that they held the real ones back. So what did we see? They're trying to push a bill right now called the UAP Disclosure Act to force it all out, and a part of this bill would actually let the government legally seize any alien tech that private companies are secretly holding. It would also create an entirely new government board that has to officially rule on whether something came from non-human intelligence or not. And people are still betting on Kalshi right now on whether or not the US is going to confirm that aliens exist. I'm obviously going to give you updates the second that this happens, so make sure you go ahead and add me if you don't want to miss whatever comes out.
Hey, can we all agree they're dragging it at this point? Completely dragging it. I mean, just let the information out. Because at a certain point, the people won't even care. It'll be like, whoop-de-doo.
Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, what is that?
Is it, am I tripping or is that? There's someone sitting on my couch, but like, there's no one there. What? But like, there's no one there. There's no one on the couch.
Oh my God, it's gone.
They're going to offer you whatever they think
will be your price tag. They're going to threaten you. They will blackmail you. They will find any dirt and Oppo research they can and blackmail you. That's what the Epstein files were for. That was a honeypot. And then if that doesn't work, they will, if you're not careful, just flat out kill you. I said, so the idea that extraordinary means aren't taken to keep an extraordinary secret is naive. But this is one of the big problems I've run into, is that most people in the media and the public greatly underestimate the thuggishness and the ruthlessness of the people keeping this secret. These are very nasty folks. So he wanted to, and the other reason he wanted me involved, and that's become clearer over the years, is that these psionic programs where they train people to connect to the ET craft and consciousness, conscious AI aspect of the craft and the operator, they wanted me to be part of that so they could use us to bring ET craft over so they could strike them with these illegal electromagnetic pulse weapons.
My uncle has a trail cam set up at my old grandparents' house. They've both passed away, and the place is abandoned. The camera takes 3 photos whenever it detects motion. This thing only showed up in one of those 3 shots.
I bet you would like to rock old Mary Brown in that chair, wouldn't you? 'Cause that's who you killed Grandma, so you could be with a 16-year-old Mary Brown. And you know you'd like to kill her too. Nah, you didn't kill her because you was sent to prison. Well, she was sent to prison. So, how was your day in prison for 21 years? You like that? I bet you did. The only thing I liked about you coming home was you brought me a dog. His name is Brownie.
What?
Do you remember that video that China released of the Tianzhou 9 scraping upon the firmament? I mean, guys, it's so unbelievably obvious. They put it on mainstream television that the rockets don't actually go straight up. They always follow an arched trajectory. And then once they reach a certain level in the atmosphere, they tend to scrape something. I mean, this is in like every single rocket video ever. If you actually have a full video of it launching and then going up into the upper atmosphere. Now let's watch this one. This is probably like 37,000 feet in the air. I'm assuming he's in an aircraft. Well, look at that. It's starting to follow an arched trajectory. Man, I wonder why. Probably because no one can go past the Van Allen belts. And apparently there's 7 layers of the Van Allen belts. You know, like the 7 layers of the firmament? So in the globe model, it's the Van Allen belts. But on the flat Earth model, the true Earth model, it's the firmament, the layers of the firmament. The rocket cannot go past it. Which is why Elon Musk has to make all of his fancy rocket landing videos from AI. Just pay attention to them. The lighting's off, it looks like Ratchet and Clank, and all of the videos and pictures of rockets actually in outer space are CGI. But this video was for entertainment purposes only.
Mate, if you don't want to believe me, that I'm telling you that the Earth is flat and there's a dome, here you go, mate. Look at the reflection. Watch this. There you go, mate. Look, we are outside in Birmingham. You don't believe me? The Earth is flat. Can you see? Yeah? Look, watch again. Watch again. There you go. Reflects off the dome. Evidence. There you go.
Can someone please tell me why NASA would be frolicking around in Algeria, but then pretending to be on Mars? This isn't the only time that NASA has done this. They also went to Devon Island, Canada, and then pretended to be on Mars. So those rover pictures that you see, they were in Canada, or even Algeria. They even have a whole little NASA base set up in Devon Island. You can literally go on Google Earth and find them. Why are they doing this if they could just go to Mars and take real videos and real pictures? Well, that's because we have likely never actually landed on Mars. Because if you actually look at a real video of Mars, it is light and sound resonating in the waters above, in the firmament. So if you can't go past the firmament, then how are you going to get to Mars? And this goes for all of the stars and all of the planets. They look absolutely nothing like the CGI images that NASA and the other space agencies like to give us. And another thing that is really, really weird, apparently there was a drone on Mars that found a door. Now, is that an alien door? Are there aliens on this rock planet with a CO2 atmosphere of virtually nothing? Or is something else going on? I would argue that we can't actually go to Mars because you can't travel through the void of space, but I made this video entirely for entertainment purposes only.
NASA, I'm gonna need you to stop the cap.
You know those automated plate reader cameras? Well, they just got a serious upgrade. This time, it's not scanning your license plate. It's scanning your AirPods, your Apple Watch, and your Bluetooth. It's called Signal Trace, made by defense contractor Leonardo. It attaches to those automated plate reader cameras already on traffic poles and police cars all over the country. But instead of just photographing your plate, Signal Trace quietly boosts up the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth signals broadcasting from your everyday devices. Your phone, your smartwatch, your earbuds, your car's infotainment system. Combines them into a unique electronic fingerprint tied to you and your vehicle. Because those signals are technically publicly broadcast, agencies are using this to build citywide tracking networks, and in many places, they don't need a warrant to do it. This is a persistent mass surveillance slipping through a legal loophole. Go look up Leonardo Signal Trace. This is the Intel Desk. Stay locked in.
If you ever mailed your DNA into 23andMe or Ancestry.com, you're gonna want to hear this. Recently, author and philosopher Jason Reza Georgiani appeared on American Alchemy and claimed that he was told about a secret program involving DNA testing sites in the search for aliens living among us. According to the story, retired Army Sergeant Lynn Buchanan, who was part of the government's remote viewing program, was once approached by three beings claiming to be Nordics. You know the type. Tall, blonde, blue-eyed, almost Scandinavian looking, except they're not from Earth. And according to this claim, these Nordic aliens escaped to Earth from a tyrannical government from their homeworld and have been living quietly in small towns in the Colorado Rockies for decades. But apparently, the CIA is now trying to find them. It's said that the Nordics have been here long enough to have had hybrid children and grandchildren with humans, and their descendants don't even know their true origins. Buchanan was told that former CIA analyst and UAP specialist Kit Green had supposedly found a way to access DNA databases and search for specific genetic variants linked to aliens. And remember for years when scientists used to call parts of our DNA junk DNA because they didn't know what it did? Well, what if it's not junk? When certain unknown genetic markers show up, that's the thing that certain groups may be looking for while trying to locate aliens who are otherwise hiding in plain sight. And does anyone remember back in 2023 when 7 million customers had their data breached from 23andMe and then every director resigned with no explanation? You sent them a saliva sample and they now have your complete genetic blueprint. And there's allegedly a backdoor for certain entities to see if you have non-human DNA. Now, I've already seen people connecting this to a theory about Rh-negative blood, a rare blood type with no clear evolutionary origin and no primate ancestor that we know of. It's been tied to these theories of being connected to aliens for decades. And I've also seen people saying that maybe they're not looking for aliens, maybe they're looking for Nephilim bloodlines from the Bible. Now, this all sounds super far-fetched, but sometimes the truth is stranger than fiction. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Imagine taking a DNA test and finding out you're not from where you thought you were, right? Maybe you grew up thinking you were Italian, but most of your DNA comes back as French. It happens all the time. But now I want you to imagine you're not from the planet you thought you were from. Maybe you already knew that. I know that sounds like science fiction, but the possibility is gaining a lot of traction in some UFO circles because on a recent podcast, science fiction writer and philosopher Jason Reza says he was told about a secret CIA program by former U.S. Army Sergeant Lynn Buchanan. And Buchanan seemingly claims that he's a psychic spy who worked for the government's remote viewing program during the Cold War and was approached by a group of aliens known as the Nordics who have been hiding out in plain sight, living quietly in small American towns. At least they're hiding out for now. Because according to Giorgiani, Buchanan claims a UAP researcher named Christopher Kit Green believes he may have found a way to identify these secret aliens by searching for a specific non-human or hybrid genetic marker inside DNA databases like Ancestry and 23andMe. And on the pie chart listing ethnicities, there's something sometimes called a wedge. It's called other, which means unknown, unidentifiable. So UFO theorists believe that could mean extraterrestrial.
The beings are 3 to 4 feet tall and weigh 25 to 50 pounds. They have grayish skin and large heads with almond-shaped wraparound eyes. They have very slight nose, mouth, and ear positions and are hairless. Any dates in the information regarding these beings were written in a 6-digit number which began with 1623. Since I had no idea what the 6-digit number was for the present year, I had no way of calculating when these beings arrived, or at least arrived this time. These beings said that they had been visiting Earth for a long time and presented photographic evidence which they contended was over 10,000 years old. There was an exchange of hardware and information in Central Nevada until 1979, at which time there was a conflict which brought the program to an abrupt halt. The beings left, but were to return at a 1623 date, and I don't know what that date is. With the remaining hardware and information, the U.S. government started the back engineering program.
This is some footage found. It was labeled the UFO crash of Varginha, Brazil. The time period is 1996. Now, this region of Brazil is not new to these type of aliens. They've actually been spotted on more than one occasion. The town actually has a statue of one of these creatures and lots of stories and folklores from the past. Now watch the rest of this video as you'll see this farmer comes across this red alien. I would definitely say this is genuine. If you watch the guy at some point in the video, he holds his hand out and you can see his hand shaking from being nervous. Tell me what you think in the comments. If you think it's real or if you think this has been fabricated, let us know.
Hey, wouldn't that be just a little bit funny if this is how they decide they want to do disclosure? Let little parts and pieces of what actually happened in the past out through social media, and we just see it and we're watching it in real time but don't even have a clue.
This footage was captured 1996 in Varginha, Brazil. There were many angles and stories, videos that came out, but not much coverage on the Brazilian news. I'm pretty sure Brazil was on the same page America was as far as secrecy. But if you look back at the coverage that we can find, you remember they brought the military in to actually hunt these things down. And then, from what I remember, they covered it all up. Don't quote me, but I believe they captured 2 aliens, both with red eyes and partially red skin. These crafts were shot down near Varginha, Brazil. Look into it. Leave your thoughts on.
Have y'all seen this video where this guy in Chicago was in the park and he saw something under a tree? So he started recording it because it was really weird. It's translucent, but it's also really shiny and it looks like it's illuminated. Now the man said when you approached it, it would disappear, but when you would walk back away from it, it would pop back up. Now, a lot of people in the comments were saying, oh, it's just a balloon. But the guy said it's definitely not a balloon. He walked up on it. There was nothing there. And then when he walked away, it showed back up. And that's why he started recording. So other people in the comments were saying that it could be an orb, like a ghost orb, or some sort of spirit. But the person who recorded it believed that it was some sort of alien, maybe some sort of cloaking technology. I'm not really sure what it is, but whatever it is, it's really strange. I've never seen anything like this before. What do you guys think? You think it's just a misidentified balloon, some sort of spirit orb, or alien technology? Let me know your thoughts on this one.
King Solomon from the Bible as the king who built the Temple of Solomon. What most people have no idea about is how Solomon built that temple. According to the Testament of Solomon, a composite text ascribed to King Solomon but not regarded as canon scripture by Jews or Christians, Solomon was enabled to build this temple by commanding demons by means of a magical ring that was entrusted to him by the archangel Michael. Solomon used the ring to command hordes of demons he used for forced labor to build the temple. The way that Solomon got this ring is rather interesting. When a demon named Ornasis harasses a young man who is friends with Solomon by sucking out his vitality through the thumb of his right hand, Solomon prays in the temple and receives from the archangel Michael a magical ring with the seal of God on it, which will enable him to command the demons. Solomon has the young man throw the ring at the demon Ornasis, which stamps him with the seal and brings him under their control. Then Solomon orders the demon Ornasis to take the ring and similarly imprint the prince of demons, Beelzebub. Beelzebub was one of the highest ranking angels in heaven before his fall. With Beelzebub under his command, Solomon now has all of the demons at his bidding to build the temple.
Girl claims she knows how to unlock telekinesis, and what she shows looks disturbingly convincing. If you didn't know, telekinesis is the alleged ability to move objects using only the power of thought. It sounds like pure fantasy, but more and more similar videos are appearing all over the internet. This girl says that learning telekinesis takes just a couple of steps. First, you rub your hands together until you feel a warm tingle or weird sensation, like some kind of energy is building up between your palms. Then comes the symbol. Right on the inside of your hand, you draw a spiral, a helix that totally covers the skin. It doesn't matter if it's a pen or a marker. The only thing that matters is your intention and focus. Next, concentration. You hold your hand out and picture the object moving, not physically, but in your mind. She warns it won't happen the first or second time, but with steady practice and repetition, she swears you'll start seeing results. Objects reacting, subtle movement, stuff you just can't easily explain. So the real question is this the hidden power of the human brain? Or just...
So did y'all see that the Catholic Church removed a priest as an exorcist because he said UFOs and all the attention around aliens is actually demons? So Monsignor Stephen Rosetta said the following about the alien activity, and I quote with all this. He said, as an exorcist, I wanted to raise the danger, and that is that demons like to hide. They don't want us to know what they're doing because they're more effective when we don't realize it. They can kind of get into your head, you know, and manipulate things in the world to influence us to do evil. It's my personal belief that probably many, if not most, of the UFO sightings are in fact demons. And after he said all of this, the Catholic Archbishop of Washington, D.C., Cardinal Robert McElroy, removed him as an exorcist. He also cut ties with the nonprofit that same exorcist or ex-exorcist ran. And he said that the statements linking UFOs to demonic presences and the center's recent use of social media gravely undermine the church's very precise teachings on the devil, demons, and exorcism. You know, and I've had multiple people in my comments say that aliens are actually demons, and I don't normally touch religion, but I still thought this would be a good one to talk about.
I agree, definitely demons. I mean, they only cut ties with the guy because he was speaking facts.
This is northern Alaska, and as of Mother's Day weekend, the sun no longer sets. You saw it got really, really close there to the horizon and then just lifts right back up. You can see it again. It's close, but it stays up.
Justin Bieber has accused Mariah Carey of sacrificing and eating her own mother in an Instagram comment. Well, actually, this comment is fake. But what's making so many people in the comments believe it? A big reason is because Mariah's sister and mother passed on the same day for different reasons. In 2020, Allison filed a summons with the New York Supreme Court alleging that their mother, Patricia, would involve her in satanic worship and sacrifice rituals. allegedly. And the crazy part, Mariah Carey's brother, Morgan, has come out and accused her mother of the same thing. So even though this comment is fake, people now more than ever are questioning Mariah Carey's ties to Hollywood. Here's a clip of Allison explaining the trauma that she had to go through in her childhood in an interview with The Sun.
There was a close family member involved in a satanic cult. Used to force me to attend certain rituals. There were a lot of things that I witnessed that, were like secrets that you wish you didn't have to hold on to. When Mariah was in any danger, when she was a child, when there was something going on where she could have been harmed, I did whatever I could do to protect her. Mariah was 3 years old, and I was 11, and I was threatened, if you don't do this, what we're telling you to do, that we're gonna sister.
I can help you talk to somebody.
He didn't use his turn signal!
Man, can I please call you an ambulance?
This is the closest thing our planet has to an alien, and it's nuts. It's called Xenoturbella, a sea creature that is unlike anything else on Earth. Here's what I mean. First of all, it looks like a worm, but it's not a worm. In fact, according to science, it shouldn't even be alive. Why? Well, because it has no respiratory system for breathing, no circulatory system for blood flow, and no excretory system for removing waste. But it gets even crazier than that. Xenoturbella has no organs. None. It has one thing that's kind of like a sensory receptor, but that's it. It has no reproductive organs. So how does it reproduce? Well, reproductive cells just kind of come out of its body. Then they fertilize each other in the water and become babies with no mouths who apparently don't eat. So what does Xenoturbella have? A hole. One hole in its stomach, if you can call it that, where food goes in and waste comes out. They were discovered off the coast of Sweden, but I think they're from outer space. And you can follow—
Okay, now with only 20% of the ocean discovered, you're not gonna sit here and tell me this is AI. It's not. It can't be. If this is AI, I don't know what the to tell you. It looked pretty real to me. It looked like a brain fish. That's what I'm gonna call it. Is this Mrs. Puff? Should we call it Mrs. Puff brain fish? Mrs. Puff brain fish. That's what we calling it from here on out.
Have you ever experienced any kind of client of yours who has had demonic possession of people describing aliens or UFOs? I want to bring up the movie like The Fifth Kind and ask if there might be a connection between demonic possession and this perception of being harassed by aliens.
No, it's an interesting subject. And by the way, I used to be in an Air Force intelligence. That was my job, and we worked for the NSA. So I have a little knowledge of some of these issues. But
thank you for your service.
Well, here's what I would say. My mother believed in you. God rest her, a holy woman. She believed in UFOs. So what can I say? I mean, she believed they were aliens. Fine. I actually don't, but she does. And so I say, well, it's up in the air. The Holy See has said, if there are aliens, we'll preach them about Jesus. Fine. But the question comes, I think, for us, is that can aliens harass people spiritually? Can they possess people? That sort of thing. I don't think so. If they're aliens, they really they are created. They have material, body, whatever, and so they can't really possess us. No. Demons can, because God allows it, and they're spiritual beings. So I would say if there are aliens, they're not going to possess you. No, it's demons. And sometimes remember that every angel or every demon is a different species. It's a theological notion that they're all very different. One angel from another is like the difference between dogs and cats, or they're different. So many demons will appear strange.
These are new animals that we recently discovered. So we discovered the sugar cube shrew in Ethiopia in early 2026. It's only 5 centimeters long and weighs as much as a sugar cube. We also added the Marmosa chachapoya to our Pokedex, which is an opossum-like animal in Peru. The Darth Vader isopod was discovered last year off the coast of Vietnam. It's a sea bug that grows over 12 inches long. It has a head that resembles Star Wars. And coincidentally, we also discovered the Darth Vader goby a month later, which is just a fish. Also in the deep, we discovered a carnivorous death ball sponge in the Southern Ocean that has hooks on on it that trap and digest its prey. On the reptile side, we discovered the Leonardo DiCaprio snake in the Himalayas, and we named it after him to honor his environmental activism. We also found the Lord Sauron piranha from the Amazon, named after Lord of the Rings because of the orange fins and black vertical stripe. We found a new bat called the Wabala's horseshoe bat in Kenya that's pretty similar to other horseshoe bats, but genetically different. And finally, and maybe the coolest of them all, is the Great Salt Lake nematode. It's only the third animal ever that can survive in Utah's Great Salt Lake. You'll love to see it.
These are lights recorded in Tepoztlan, Mexico. This was recorded in 2003. However, there are many places in Latin America where these lights or similar lights appear this way. I'm not sure if they are extraterrestrial in nature or just simply swamp gas or something like that the mountains release in the air. But there's the video. What do you guys think of that?
A person was filming the mountains in Mexico when they noticed something extremely odd, and this is for educational purposes only. Right in the side of the mountain appeared to be some kind of doorway. As soon as the footage hit the internet, people started coming out with wild theories. Here's where shit get weird, because people from all over the world have been reporting seeing random doorways where they shouldn't be. So what if this is more than a coincidence? Could these be portals? A glitch in the system? I'm not gonna lie, this is giving a Truman Show. It's almost as if somebody forgot to render the maps. Watch it again and let me know what you think. Is this just weird information, or are we catching something that we were not supposed to see?
I mean, people were finding staircases in the middle of the forest, so this isn't too far off.
I need somebody to help me understand. Now, this has been bugging me for a while now. So since 1990, I've done the research, okay? Approximately, give or take, over 90 million people have died in the United States of America. 90 million people since 1990. We're in 2026 now. I've been to a couple graveyards recently, and I realized when I went to the graveyards back when my grandfather passed away back in 1989, 1990-ish, versus now, and the graveyards haven't filled up. They haven't changed. I remember going as a kid seeing it like half of the graveyard was full, and then a couple other graveyards in my local area. But they haven't gotten any bigger. They haven't filled up. When was the last time you've seen a graveyard being built? I can't ever remember finding it.
Now, he said you can't touch his shoulders. And I'm pretty sure he was right, because even when I try to cheat it, it's not really working. Let me know if you can do it.
There's an interesting theory surrounding the movie Get Out that says the deer that Rose hits in the beginning represents Chris being hunted throughout the entire film. In the beginning, Chris and Rose hit a deer on the road, and instead of moving past it quickly, the camera stays on the unalive animal, while Chris looks visibly shaken. This moment connects to Chris's trauma because his mother passed in a hit and run, and he still carries guilt for not being able to save her. However, the deer also works as a symbol for Chris himself. Deer are seen as prey, something that gets hunted, trapped, and displayed like a trophy. That connects directly to what happens to Chris later in the movie. Dean Armitage even goes on a strange rant about deer being a problem and needing to be eliminated, which makes the symbolism feel even darker. Inside the Armitage house, there is a mounted deer head on the wall, almost like a trophy from something that was conquered. By the end, Chris is restrained, watched, and auctioned off, like he is no longer being treated as a person. That is why some fans believe the deer imagery was not random. From the very beginning, the movie was showing us that Chris was the one being hunted, and the Armitage family was the predator hiding in plain sight.
Here's a tornado on a mountaintop. I have never in my life heard or seen of a tornado on a mountain before. A tornado on the top of a mountain. Our weather's getting strange, Pooskies. Shabadoo!
أنا ملعون الله يسامحك أنا ما بدي أقرأ آيات عشان بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم طلع. ركزوا على رجليها، ركزوا عند رجلها. والله ما هي رجل بشرية، والله ما هي رجل بشرية يا اخوان. أعوذ بالله. شايفين؟ طب شو بتعملي انت؟ شو بتعملي؟ ايه بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء. ما راح اخوان طقوسها غريبة هاي. ايه شو كيف رميت الحجر؟ ايه لا بسم الله. ايه لا في اشي غلط. شو الهسوس؟ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ما يجي فيه حجر يا اخوان هسه.
Well, you guys, hey, that's another one in the books, man. Hey, I appreciate you guys for always stopping by, watching, and learning with me. As these conspiracies roll in, we'll be looking at them all and evaluating for ourselves whether these are fact or fake. Before we get on out of here, do me the biggest favor and hit that like button for me. Hit that hype button and subscribe if you're not already a part of the iTrack fam, and I will definitely catch you on the next one.